Welcome in, ladies and gentlemen, to the uSTADIUM Hurricane Relief Marathon. On now, we are the Buffalo Fanatics. Well, members of the Buffalo Fanatics. My name is Steve Mathis. You can find me on Twitter at Judge Mathis, and I am joined by Alex Fabili. You can find him on Twitter at Alex_Fabili, and it's a good thing it's up there.
It's right there. Yeah, you can't spell my name. Don't try.
You can catch some of our work over on the Buffalo Fanatics YouTube channel every Monday and Thursday with my co-host Dave Tilton. We host the Air Raid Hour. It's all about the Buffalo Bills on our channel, but we're going to talk a little bit of NFL and a little bit of Buffalo Bills tonight because this is such a great cause that uSTADIUM has here, the Hurricane Relief Marathon. If you go down to this link right here at the bottom and you donate to the relief fund, Linktree/uSTADIUM. Obviously, Hurricane Ida has been real tough on the New Orleans region, and they could use all the help they can get. Nick Spano in the comment section saying, "Judge, what up, bro? Welcome in, and welcome into anyone." One of the things that we like to do on our show is we like to make it as interactive as possible. So as we're going through the segments and stuff tonight that we've sort of predetermined, feel free in the comment section to chime in. So at any point in time, if you have an opinion, you have a take, you have a question, let us know in that comment section. Your boy let us come in saying, ask me about my amazing jumper. We did a charity golf tournament for Buffalo Fanatics this weekend in Buffalo. And at the 13th hole, Stevie Johnson, former Buffalo Bill great, was at the 13th hole. And I'm not going to lie to you, by the 13th hole, I was about 13 drinks in. And he set up a little basketball hoop. And people were taking jumpers and stuff, but this basketball hoop, I swear, it was not regulation. My forehead was touching the rim. So I was taking some jumpers and we were just, fooling around. I missed the backboard every time. I couldn't even hit the backboard. I was just shooting it over the backboard every time. So, but hey, I will say this. Ripped a couple of shots of tequila with Stevie, and the next two holes, I pounded like a 260-yard drive straight down the middle of the fairway for 2 straight holes. So I guess I should have just done the tequila before I was shooting the basketball shots because it sure as hell helped my driving game. But anyway, let's get into it tonight. Obviously, there's going to be some Buffalo people in the comment section, so we're going to get to Buffalo as well. But I know this is the uSTADIUM channel, so we want to do some NFL talk. And what better way than to keep it in the AFC East, because the big news today, and we'll get on the Jets too in a moment, but let's get to the big news of the day. Cam Newton released by the New England Patriots. And as well as Brian Hoyer. So their depth chart right now that was later on in the day.
Oh, okay.
He might have been one of those things where they're trying to IR someone and they'll bring him back.
Maybe. Yeah.
I don't know the specifics of that, but either way, the only two quarterbacks on the depth chart right now are Mac Jones and Jarrett Stidham.
How is he still around? How does he still last?
He survives. But even though he won't be sitting on the throne this year, it'll be Mac Jones on the throne. What are your thoughts on Cam Newton getting the boot and Mac Jones getting the start for the New England Patriots?
I mean, honestly, I'm more surprised they cut Hoyer and Stidham didn't get cut because he's terrible. Like, come on, he's horrible. But no, I mean, it's not that. Honestly, I wasn't that surprised with Cam Newton. I think it was kind of trending that way. It's really crazy, like how much difference a year makes. Like early last season, Cam looked amazing. Remember that Seattle game on Monday night? I think.
Yep,
he was incredible. And I'm like, Cam's back. Watch out. And then it just didn't happen. He got COVID. He got hurt. I mean, he's always been hurt. Their offense is terrible. So it's just been downhill from there. He got that cheap deal in the offseason, where even once he signed that deal, it was like, yeah, they could cut him. And he was kind of assumed the starter, but drafting a quarterback in the first round doesn't guarantee anything he's going to play. So, I mean, I'm not surprised, especially once like he didn't get the vaccination and he hit on the COVID thing. You can't have your starting QB missing any COVID time. Like, it can't happen. Like the Colts, the Vikings, I don't know how that's working right now. Like,
yeah, and we
you're
got
starting quarterback, you can't miss time.
So we got Nick Spano coming in saying Stidham is on the pup list, so he's out 6 weeks, I believe. So maybe Brian Hoyer will be coming back. So
then I would assume
Brian Hoyer would come back. But it's just super interesting. They're handing the reins over to Mac Jones. I think this is the best decision Bill Belichick has made in quite a long time. I've been on record saying that the Patriots would have way more Super Bowls if they had a better general manager there in New England, because I think Bill Belichick's ego has gotten in his way a couple of times. He, like when he got rid of Randy Moss, he was afraid to go get more weapons for Tom Brady. He thought he could scrape by and play good defense and all these things. Their drafting has been very suspect over the years. There's a lot of things that you can ding Bill Belichick for on top of calling him the greatest coach of all time. So,
I will say, like, they did win 6 Super Bowls, and like Brady's prime was like in that 10-year span where they didn't win Super Bowls. Like, I kind of agree they could have like a couple more Super Bowls. Like, obviously they could have the 2 or 3 that they lost. They could win one, but like maybe one extra. I'm not really sure. But I would agree 100% that he's not a great drafter. I think they've shown that. We've seen so many high picks just coming in, coming out. But I mean, they get it done. I think he is still a great coach. I saw Asante Samuel saying he's just another coach without Brady, which
it was a little.
I
It was funny.
would disagree.
It was funny. I enjoyed it.
I liked it because it was funny, but I
Yeah.
disagree the point. I think he's still a great coach. Like, him being a great coach goes all the way back to the Bills Super Bowl in 1990. He was the reason they won. And then he was good in Cleveland for all those years. I mean, he cut Bernie Kosar. So, him making crazy quarterback cuts, isn't that like outside of the realm for him? He let Tom Brady go as a free agent, like crazy. So I don't think it's that different. I just really think he's just like, I'm not dealing with him missing time from COVID. I mean, he's probably still not 100% healthy from his shoulder. That's just been wrecked by David Gettleman and all the people in Carolina all those years. He's not young, but he's not old. He's like that early 30s. So it's hard to really commit.
And it's just, it's interesting. Your boy Lettuce comes in and says Mac looked like a prototypical McDaniels quarterback. He looked a little Tom Brady-esque this offseason. And it is the preseason. So I will say that. But I think Bill Belichick made the best move because you with Cam, you're capped. Like, there's only so far you're going to be able to go with Cam Newton. I think that Mac Jones adds an element of ceiling to this offense, because what they're going to go out there this year and they're going to try to do is they're going to try to be the best defense in the National Football League, and they got the ponies to do it. I know Stephon Gilmore is on the PUP list, but their defense is 3 deep at almost every position. They are
they got a good defense, no question.
I think they could have an historically good defense, and I think that's what Bill Belichick is counting on. Bill Belichick probably is pretty convinced himself that at this point he can hold the team to under I'm pretty sure he's convinced himself that he could probably hold the team to under 20 points a game this season. I think he's fairly confident in that.
I think that's what he wants to do. I mean, Mac Jones just has to limit mistakes, but asking that out of a rookie quarterback who actually has very little starting experience overall, and like coming from Alabama, where like he's got all the world-class talent around him. So we'll see. I mean, I don't know if it adds a ceiling or a floor. I think it's just is just a question mark.
But you look at the offense, and they have a pretty good offensive line. I mean, obviously there are some questions in pass protection with Isaiah Wynn, but along the offensive line, they're pretty solid, especially in the run blocking situation. You got Dave. They have six running backs on the active roster. Like, they're going to run the football. So this is going to be an offense that's predicated on running first, then finding Jonnu, finding Hunter, finding Aguilar, finding Bourne, finding Myers. Even Devin Asiasi, like, it's finding the running backs out the backfield. It's going to be about efficiency, efficiency on third down. And I think you're much more likely to be efficient on third down with a quarterback, even in his limited playing time, who's shown far better accuracy over his career than Cam Newton. I have no doubt in my mind that when the New England Patriots acquired Cam Newton, Josh McDaniels had all these thoughts in his mind about all these different things he could do on offense and all these different things he can do with Cam Newton. But at the end of the day, with what they're trying to do this year, that quarterback who can just pick up third downs and be efficient and dink and dunk the ball down the field, maybe take the occasional shot. I think that's what they're looking for in this offense. But I want to transition now. I want to keep it in the AFC East. Josh Allen is now the oldest quarterback in the AFC East at 25 years old. So let that sink in. The starting quarterbacks in the AFC this year are going to be Josh Allen, Mac Jones, Zach Wilson, and Tua Tagovailoa. I want to power rank the quarterbacks in the AFC East.
Oh boy.
And we got a comment in here that says, per Elias, the last time all 4 quarterbacks starters in division were 25 or younger occurred in the
73
1973 AFC
Central.
Central.
That's got to be
So
like no, that's not the Central. That's got to be. Who knows who those guys are? Actually, I
yeah,
don't know.
the St. Louis
Look
Cardinals,
it up.
maybe. I
Look
don't
it
know
up.
who
Look
would
it
be
up.
in that, but Stefan coming in saying Mac Jones is the truth. So maybe Mac Jones would be willing to, or maybe Stefan would be willing to put Mac Jones at the top of his list. But if you're power ranking the AFC East quarterbacks right now, what's your order 1 through 4?
Okay, this is gonna be crazy. Number 1, it's not who you think it is. No, I'm just kidding. It's Josh Allen. I mean, it has to be. I mean, it really has to be Josh Allen. I mean, he was even if Cam Newton was starting, like Allen's the
Mhm.
best quarterback. Really, just after last season, he was so great. Great. Even like if he was coming off like an average season or like an okay season, better than his second season, he'd still probably be the best just because the rookies haven't done anything and Tua has
Mhm.
such limited action. And that goes to Tua's my second best, number 2. I can't put a rookie ahead of Tua, and Tua showed some stuff. I know everyone wants to hate on Tua, and I think that's fine if you want to do that, but I want to. He had some good plays. He also had some really bad plays, but also the hip. I think people vastly overlooked the hip injury he had. I think his
Mhm.
his offensive line is still terrible. They didn't do anything to fix it, which is astounding. Um, I think I mean, they definitely improved his weapons,
Mhm.
but last year's weapons weren't very good, and, like, also he had to worry about getting yanked for Fitz, and I don't think that's gonna happen this year
Mhm.
because I don't think Jacoby Brissett's gonna be the guy you yank to for your first round quarterback. I think they're gonna
Yeah.
really, make sure Tua fails because I think of
Mhm.
all this Watson talk, I think they really wanna know, is Tua good enough to start? Is he good enough to play? And I think he might even have a shorter rope
Yeah.
because, like, even if he's, like, just good, that might not be good enough, especially if Watson's available.
Yeah.
But
A slight pause in our conversation here because Splash did come in the private chat, and he told us that the last 4 quarterbacks 25
okay.
years or younger in the 1973 AFC Central were Ken
Wow.
Anderson, Mike Phipps, Dan Pastorini, and Terry Bradshaw.
That's right. I was
That's
thinking
pretty cool.
Bradshaw, but yeah, I love that. That's awesome.
And
That's amazing.
we've also got some people coming with their lists. Your boy Lettuce, Alan Mack, Tua Wilson, Josh Wilson, Mack, Brissett, Trubisky. Tua says Nick Spano. Ryan
Trubisky
Potts
might be
comes in.
better. My
I have
Trubisky might be the second best.
And
That's
then
fair.
Allen, Tua, Zach, and Mac says Ryan Potts, but
Yeah.
he has the MVP above Tua as well, says your boy Lettuce. So
Yeah. I
Deshaun
put
Watson, I heard a take today while we're on Miami. So you had Josh Allen number 1, 2, number
mhm.
2. I heard this take today. I want your thoughts on this take as we take a little pause here. Someone said just the fact that Brian Flores had to walk into that locker room and try to convince the team that Tua was their starting quarterback already tells you everything that they know about Tua as a starting quarterback. That people need convincing that he's really the guy there. What are your thoughts on that take? The fact that
Um
the coach has to pull the quarterback aside and let him know, like, hey, you're my guy. Has to go to the locker room and let them know, like, hey, you're my guy. Like, shouldn't it just be known that he's the guy?
I think the players know, but all the Watson smoke is apparently coming from Stephen Ross, a guy who we must realize has like rarely ever made a good idea, had a good
So
idea.
he's meddling again.
Like he's just being stupid. Like I think the guys have seen to a first team all summer. They knew he was going to be the starter after Fitz left. Like I I think the guys know, and then maybe hearing these reports, like if the owner's saying it, then maybe you do have to listen. But honestly, I think it's just ridiculous that this is coming out.
Mhm.
I think Stephen Ross is once again making a an issue out of this. He could, really hurt to his confidence. I hope he doesn't. I think he's better than that. So I just don't. I This whole Watson story just is ridiculous. Every reporter is just going for it. They're trying to just break it when there's just nothing there. He's
Mhm.
not getting traded. Like, it's just too ridiculous. The price is too high, especially for the Dolphins. If they give up all those firsts and seconds, like, is your team good enough to compete with Deshaun Watson? I don't know. I don't think they're that good to begin with. I think that line is still terrible, and I think that's not going to help Watson. Like, he had Will Fuller in Houston already. Like, is Devontae Parker much better than like Brandon Cooks and all that? Like Jalen Waddle's a question mark, but you gave up 2 first-round picks for him. So, like, I don't know what they're doing in Miami. It started out real good, and then it's probably Stephen Ross because he's
Mm.
just impatient and bad, which I can understand, but, we've seen it time and time out. It just the Dolphins have something, and then it just disintegrates. And
Yeah.
we saw them disintegrate at the end of last year, so maybe that's
Mhm.
the beginning. Like, and I'm still not that impressed by this team overall.
Yeah, I'm gonna give you my top 2 here that I have. Obviously, I think obviously the Bills homer that I am. There was no doubt in my mind that Josh Allen would be number 1. And I think that
Yes,
the
Homer.
number 1 but here's the thing, here's my take. The number 1 thing is despite how good Mac Jones, has looked in the preseason, despite Zach Williams being the number 2 overall pick,
Mhm.
despite Tua now being the starter in Miami, et cetera, last year you saw every ESPN pundit, whether they're intelligent or they're not, and most of them are not. You see all of these national television pundits last year were doing the same thing that we were, and they were power ranking quarterbacks in the AFC East. And you were seeing people crowning Jared Stidham and putting Sam Darnold over Josh Allen. Like you saw Josh Allen as the number 3 and the
Okay.
4 guy on those lists last year.
Okay.
When it was Jared Stidham, Sam Darnold, Ryan Fitzpatrick, and Josh Allen to choose from. You're not seeing that disrespect this year. I haven't seen a single national pundit out there willing to say that Josh Allen isn't going to finish the season as the best quarterback in the AFC East. Not a single the balls to give that take when they felt that they had more than enough rope to give that take seasons ago.
Okay. I guess. Like, I mean, of course he's gonna be the number 1. Like, he has to be, unless those 2 rookies or Tua becomes really
Mm-hmm.
good, like, he's not gonna be the worst quarterback or even probably second worst. Like, he's gonna end up as the best quarterback in the division. But also, I mean, the Jared Stidham stuff was stupid. He was never gonna start, and
It was the
I don't
picture
know
on the
what
crown. It was the
I
picture
don't
on the. It
know.
was the
That is
picture on the
all
throne.
that's like a CIA plant. I don't know what it is. Jared Stidham is just nonsense. Cam was always gonna be the starter. And I will say, if you wanted to come out and say Josh Allen was not the best quarterback in the AFC East last year, you were okay. Don't know if I would have said that. I don't think I put him ahead of I don't think I put Darnold ahead of him because Darnold's also
Mhm.
really bad. But we have to realize, as a passer, Josh Allen was not very good until last year. What made him worthwhile was his running ability, which has always been elite. And obviously he progressed from year 1 to year 2 and then made this incredible, ridiculous leap that we've never seen in NFL history before in year 3. And he's done it, and that should pretty much be his baseline now, unless he just crashes, which I can't really expect just because he's looked so good in camp and preseason. So, and the offenses is continuing another season. He's got good weapons. The line seems to be okay. So there really isn't much reason to believe she should crater that much. But I
Mhm.
have no problem with anyone saying, outside of if you want to say Cam Newton was better than Josh Allen, I could hear it. He was a
Mhm.
former MVP. If you wanted to say Fitz was better, I probably wouldn't agree. So I think it was really just Josh was in that 2-3 area last year. Probably obviously has the most potential, and he hit it.
Mhm.
But I just think now that we've seen it, which is what all we wanted, that's all we wanted out of Josh. We need to see it because he always was super high ceiling, but the floor was also super low. I've been thinking a lot, like he's almost the most risky like quarterback investment in like longest that I can remember. Like just all
Mhm.
the draft picks that they put into him, you know, his scouting report, like all this. I think it worked. It's
Mhm.
worked, and I just think it's really something that you know it's crazy how it worked. Of all the teams for it to work, it's the
Yeah.
Bills. But yeah,
We
I
get
think yeah. Go ahead.
we got Nick Spano coming in saying you have the Jets and Joe Douglas who are doing the opposite of Miami, and that's my second quarterback on my list. I have Zach Wilson as number 2 on my list, and I want to talk a little bit about Zach Wilson, and then he also asked earlier about our take on the Jets,
Hmm.
so we can use this opportunity to talk about like our
Yeah.
outside perspective on what we think of the Jets here. But for me, I went with Zach Wilson because
Hmm.
I think he's got a really good play caller in LaFleur. So
Hmm.
I think he's got a team that's going to be smart, and they're not going to put too much on his shoulders too early, despite the fact that they might not have a lot of good running backs. They have a lot of running backs. I think they're going to count and do that San Francisco offense and do a lot of play action stuff, count a lot, count a lot on the running game. They're going to do a lot of stuff to set up Zach Wilson to be successful. They're going to try to scheme guys open. I think Zach Wilson's going to have some success in his first year. And I'm always going to put my faith now that I've seen Josh Allen and now that I've looked around the league and seen some other quarterbacks fail, for me from now on, I'm always going to lean towards the arm talent. And Zach Wilson has an arm talent that Tua and Mac Jones do not. Now,
I'd agree.
I'm not saying you should put too much faith in the arm talent. Like he's no John Skelton, right? Like he's no Jamarcus Russell. Zach Wilson has also shown an ability to be an accurate quarterback on top of that. So you have to sort of balance the both. But when I balance the both, it's Zach Wilson's arm talent to me that puts him over top of Mac Jones and Tua Tagovailoa, because I think his ceiling is higher. Mac Jones can have a very successful career, but I think it's going to be in an offense that is predicated around him and puts skill players around him. Same with Tua. I think Zach Jones is one of those guys who can elevate, not now, not in his rookie year, but over time as he gains more confidence and experience. He, like Josh Allen, can be a quarterback that elevates the talent around him. I don't know. What are your thoughts on?
I think I would agree. I think he definitely has a higher ceiling than Mac Jones. Not that he has a bad ceiling. I think Mac Jones can be good. It's just, I do think we might be just pigeonholing Mac Jones into that, game manager kind of thing before we even see him.
I saw him scramble out of the pocket, and in today's NFL, when he almost got hurt, scrambling for like a yard and a half, and it was the most awkward run I've ever seen in my entire life.
Well,
that's to me why I'm pigeonholing Mac Jones.
That's fair.
It has nothing to like his arm talent is there, but if you see this dude out of the pocket, and so many quarterbacks have to be successful out of the pocket in today's NFL, and you see Mac Jones out of your pocket, and it's just you laugh, like you openly laugh. It's so funny to watch. And I'm not trying to be mean or anything, because like I do think he's a good quarterback.
It's not,
but
his
it's
game,
so hilarious. Like he looks so awkward out of the pocket.
Yeah, I mean that I would agree there. That's probably, if anything, that's the thing that'll hold him back. Like maybe he never can get past that Kirk Cousins, level. He can win more than Kirk Cousins, but I don't know. We'll see. But I do agree, Zach Wilson. Like you have to be able to move out of the pocket. You have to be able to make plays on the run. Across your body now. Like think of Mahomes, think of Allen, think of Rodgers, and Russell Wilson, just making these plays that you don't think you've seen before. Like it's not the old NFL where all the great throws are made in the pocket. A lot of the best throws now are running and throwing across your body to the other side of the field or something, like the Allen throw to to Beasley in the last preseason game. That was incredible. Like those are the plays you're gonna have to make, and I could definitely see Zach Wilson doing those. Obviously, I think he's gonna need some more time. I think the Jets are somewhat building better. I mean, it's not as bad as what they did with Darnold, where they just every year made it worse.
Yeah.
And also they always had a horrible coach. So I don't know about Robert Saleh. I think he'll be fine. I don't know about Douglas. I don't like trading 2 picks for a guard, but I mean their line needed to get fixed. I think it's better. So it's nice to see that they're investing in that.
I like the Jets, but I also think that they're a couple of years away, just because I think they're missing some of the star power. Like on offense, they're
missing a lot of star power.
Yeah. I mean, Zach Wilson's going to, obviously he's going to take his lumps his rookie year, but I also think he'll be fairly successful. Michael Carter might take a little bit of time to become a good NFL running back. Who knows what his ceiling is? The rest of the running backs there have a very low ceiling, guys like Tevin Coleman, Ty Johnson. The receiving core, how long's Crowder going to be there? You got Corey Davis, you got Denzel Mims. Obviously, I really love Elijah Moore. So you got some guys there who could turn into something. Tight end, they're struggling with. Offensive line, you got Becton.
Yeah, they traded Herndon.
You got Barrett Tucker. And then a bunch of like average guys and like Van Rotten and Fant.
Well, I think Becton can be great. I was a huge fan of Becton last year. But
so on offense, it's there, but then on the defensive side of the ball, especially with Carl Lawson out now, I mean, they got Quinnen, they got Rankins, they got Shaq along the defensive line. Out at linebacker outside of CJ Mosley, it's all like converted safeties and stuff. I think for you Jets fans out there, I think Quincy Williams is a name to keep an eye on. Got cut by the Jags today, former 3rd-round pick and brother of Quinnen Williams. The Jets need linebacker something fierce. So he might be on their radar. And then the secondary, outside of Marcus May,
it's just
not a lot of weapons in that secondary. So I think they're a little ways away. And obviously their kicking situation is something to keep an eye on as well, even though that kicker has been kicking really well.
Who is their kicker?
Matt. Matt's same name as a Patriots player, Matt Amendola, but it's spelled different.
Oh, really? Okay.
I don't know. He came in, was just, I was watching the
Okay.
preseason game and he looked good, but
Okay.
he's obviously, Amendola, but he hasn't, he's looked good in the preseason, but that's got to obviously translate to the regular season. When you have a kicker that no one's heard of, that's usually a concern heading into the season.
I think it's good for them this year. Like, they're probably not going to win too many games. You're not going to win too many games with a rookie quarterback.
I think they're a 5 to 7 win team.
Yeah, maybe 4, maybe, I don't know. But yeah, like, they just don't have impact players as much. Like, their best players are defensive tackles. So we've seen that here in Buffalo. That doesn't get you anywhere. You got to have Wilson make plays. And I think Crowder, Davis, and Moore, I think that's kind of underrated, especially if Moore's like good.
Yeah.
I think that could work. I don't think they'll win many games just because that's still not, those are still like just average for the most part. But I think I think you could see the groundwork to a pretty good team. I think if Moore becomes a legit number 1, maybe Michael Carter's a really good running back.
Well, my thing is, I think they're going to use, and I guess you can call it, you might be able to call it number 1. I think they're going to use Elijah Moore like they used Deebo Samuel in San Francisco. So I think he could have a lot of success in that Deebo role.
Sure.
And then, I mean, Zach Wilson was literally just, he was only throwing the ball to Corey Davis in the preseason.
That's
so
fair.
Like that chemistry and that connection is there. When Corey Davis is on the field,
he might be a low-key pickup for in fantasy.
In fantasy. So between that, a decent connection that he's had with Tyler Kroft, who we know from his time in Buffalo.
Yeah, we know.
I think Zach Wilson's going to have success, but I also don't think Matt LaFleur is going to put the pedal to the metal and put too much pressure on Zach Wilson. Well, so I think that there's almost a limit on the amount of points that they can put up a game. And with their defense, they're going to have to put up a lot of points, at least early, because that defense is going to need some time to improve.
I think this is really just a feeling out season. You just let them go. Don't worry about mistakes. Like, this isn't a Super Bowl team. There's time with the head coach. There's time with the OC. There's time with the quarterback, a lot of the skill guys. Still, a lot of those guys on defense, they might. I know May and Quinn Williams are coming on contracts, but like, this is just a blank slate almost. Like, you can just do whatever you want. If you want to have Elijah Moore doing end arounds to get first downs, go for it. Like Deebo, like, who cares? There's no script. Just figure out what you have on this team and just go into next season with, most likely a high draft pick, a season of experience for Zach Wilson and, season experience for the other young guys. Hopefully that line can, mesh and gel and stay somewhat solid. So I don't worry about I don't think the Jets are going to win many games. I'm not worried again for the Bills, but I think it has the possibility to be okay. Now, obviously, it's the Jets, and they always mess everything up every single time without fail. So we'll just have to see. But honestly, you kind of play like that armchair GM. Like, would you do this? Would you do this? When you see those teams, and I really didn't see anything that was too drastic. Like, maybe you take Fields instead of Wilson, but that's really, that's not a big deal. But I don't think there's anything crazy for this team. So I think they might be on the right track, but nothing to worry about anytime soon.
Yeah. And who do you got as your quarterback 3 and 4? I know my third would be Mac Jones. As I mentioned, I think in that offense, he can have a lot of success.
And my fourth last? Oh my! No,
I put Mitch Trubisky last.
You didn't even rank Tua?
Tua's going to bomb this year, and the Miami Dolphins are going to be terrible.
Gosh,
Deshaun Watson will be their 2023 starting quarterback.
Mitch Trubisky shouldn't play at all. All right. I put Wilson and Jones as 3A and 3B. I'm not going to have a last. I'm just being, honest. They could be terrible this year. They could be fine, but Tua has played in the NFL, and that's something I think we're just kind of discounting. If you want to put Mitch Trubisky ahead of Tua, that's fine. Just because, but it's just he's not going to
correct.
Start. Sure. I don't doubt. That's fair.
But all right, so let's talk about some other quarterbacks around the league here. Some things that we wanted to talk about.
Mitch Trubisky is an MVP, guys.
Me and Alex do like to jump around and talk about other NFL things as well.
Absolutely.
And one of our favorite players over the past couple of years has been famous Jameis Winston, Mr. Crab Legs himself. The conversation I want to have with you, because a lot of people are saying like what happened to Jameis Winston last year when he got redshirted is something that could be in the cards for a Mitchell Trubisky. So it'll be really interesting to see a year under his belt in the Sean Payton system, how Jameis is going to do this year. So Jameis is the starting quarterback over Taysom Hill. What are your thoughts on him starting? I know they got Kamara. I know they got Latavius Murray. But hey, Jared Cook is gone. Michael Thomas is going to miss the start of the season. Emmanuel Sanders is gone. His weapons are Marquez Callaway. It's
Mike Thomas after he comes back from
Mike
PUP.
Thomas when he comes back, obviously Kamara and stuff like that. So the weapons are lacking. I know they, I need to look up their cuts and their depth chart today, but
I would have just skip over Alvin Kamara.
Adam Troutman was their tight end, by the way. That's the name I was looking for. Thank you, Splash.
Yes,
he was a guy I liked in the draft a couple of years ago, but
from
still,
Oregon.
it's a limited arsenal of weapons for LASIK Jameis. What are your thoughts on Jameis Winston starting in New Orleans? Think he's going to have some success? Do you think they could be contenders?
I think so. I think they're still the favorites in the NFC South. Well, not the favorites. I'm sorry. I mean, they could contend. I'm going to say. I forgot Tampa Bay was there for a second. So yeah,
Atlanta's gonna be real bad.
Yeah, especially if Josh Rosen's their starter. I love it. He's coming back. He's gonna be the heir apparent to Matt Ryan. You mark it down. Yeah, I mean, I think they can compete with Tampa. I don't know if they're as good. They had to cut a lot of talent with the cap problems. It really just caught up to them this year. But Jameis over Taysom was always going to happen. I don't know why people thought Taysom was a chance. Like, he's not a quarterback. He's he's a player you can put at the quarterback position for gadget plays. He's honestly a pretty useful player. So I just think Sean Payton got way too just into himself, thinking, yeah, Taysom's gonna be a starter. I'm gonna give him $150 million contract. That's not 100. Just weird stuff that Payton's doing just because he's grasping at straws because he didn't get Mahomes or someone else to be the heir apparent to Breeze. So I think Jameis will be fine. I mean, it really just depends on his mistakes. Is that LASIK? Can he see now?
I think that's good for minus 15 interceptions.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, he did the 30 and 30, but like before that, he was never close to those
he
numbers.
Literally said, he literally came out and said, I can't even see down the field. I just see blurs, and I throw at the blur that's the color of the uniform I'm wearing. Like, that's literally like words that have been spoken by Jameis Winston.
So crazy. It's up there. It's up there.
Yeah, and they just don't have the targets for Jameis to get 3,000 yards and 30 touchdowns, says your boy Lettuce.
Yeah, I think in that offense he definitely could throw 30 touchdowns, and I don't think there's going to be so many safety valves. In Payton's offense, especially with Kamara, he's not going to have that as many issues throwing down the field.
Splash comes in the clutch here in the private chat. He mentioned Adam Troutman. So they have Marquez Callaway, they have Michael Thomas, they also have Traquan Smith, Deontay Harris. So there are some weapons there, but there's another weapon who just hit the market today. And that is someone that we're familiar with in John Brown. He requested his release from the Raiders. Don't blame him. Derek Carr is not going to have any amount of time to throw the football downfield with that offensive line. It's going to be a nightmare there in Vegas. John Brown has hit the free agent market. John Brown is a fit in New Orleans. I would like to see him possibly go to New Orleans, but what do you see as some other fits for a guy like John Brown? Detroit has no wide receivers, but I would hate to see him have to play with Jared Goff. Kansas City could use another speedster. They always like those speedsters. And Green Bay is another place where I could see a guy like John Brown landing up. Which of these do you think would be the best option for John Brown? I'm praying for LASIK Jameis to get John Brown.
So I didn't write New Orleans down. I did have the Lions just because they have nobody. I wrote KC just because, I mean, like here, he could step in and be Sammy, like he was there in KC. And then I said maybe New England just because just who knows? Like, there's so many guys that are just there. Like, John Brown's been a good player, and he's probably would be.
Yeah, I know receiver. they got Bourne and Aguilar on the boundary. They got Jacoby Myers in the slot.
Who cares?
But then that's just about it.
He's more proven than those guys. I mean, he's similar-ish to Aguilar, but he's more consistent. I hope John Brown can get back onto it because I've always I've been rooting for him ever since he left here. I mean, maybe he could come back here. I don't know where, but who
Mhm.
knows? If Josh Allen wants it to happen, he's okay to it. Whatever.
Joe
But
Buscaglia today said, if that John Brown can't find a situation that he likes, or there
mhm,
are no offers for him out there, you are allowed to carry 4 vested veterans on your practice squad. So
it's true.
the Buffalo Bills could bring in John Brown. He can come into the Buffalo Bills facility every day. He can stay in shape. He can stay around a football team.
Hmm.
If there's any injuries to our wide receiving core, he can step in right away onto a winning roster. And if the Buffalo Bills promise not to protect him, if there is any openings or are any
Hmm.
injuries around the league, he can jump at that opportunity, and he's been in a playbook. He's been practicing every
Yeah,
week, et cetera, et cetera.
I
So
think I think
that
he's
could
got
be
a
a
chance.
situation. I doubt it. I think
I don't think he'll
between
be here, but I
I,
definitely think Green Bay or Kansas City,
but
maybe Detroit.
I as much as I don't want to see him in Kansas City, I would rather him go to Kansas City. I'd rather him go to New Orleans, Green Bay, go to a place with a quarterback. Like, I
Mhm.
don't mean to be too mean to Jared Goff here, but I'm sorry. What's going on in Detroit? Nothing can fix what's going on there right now. They are in a total rebuild. There is no talent on that offense whatsoever. Penei Sewell's getting burned at right tackle. He
I'm
needs to
not
switch back
surprised
over.
about
He
that.
needs to switch back over to the left side pronto. I don't
Yeah,
care if they have a guy over there. Jared Goff is a system quarterback without the puppet master and Sean McVay. You have TJ Hawkinson, and that's it. It's like Tyreek
yeah.
Williams. I mean, it's Khalif Raymond.
Amon St. Brown, I like
You know,
him a
Amon St.
lot.
Brown, who I like in the slot. So you can have Brown in the slot, Williams outside.
Yeah,
But uh,
that's not
DeAndre,
much.
like, there's just they just lack so much talent on that
Yeah, it's a
offense. Like,
total rebuild.
it's a total tear down. Like, they just don't have enough talent to keep up in the modern NFL. And I just don't want to see John Brown stuck with that just because they needed a receiver. I'd like for him to go somewhere where he can
Yeah,
actually be successful, a place with a real
sure.
quarterback.
I agree. Yeah, I
Um,
mean, the Green Bay cut,
mhm. Frank
Equanimous
Ragnow
St.
is very
Brown.
good. Frank Ragnow is very good.
Oh, yeah, he's fantastic. That's true.
Mhm.
That's true. He's probably their best player on that whole team.
Yeah,
Um, but yeah, the Sewell thing, I don't know why they put him at right tackle. I don't get it. I would have
because
probably thrown him at left guard. But
mhm,
I mean, him struggling isn't that surprising? Like he
short
missed a
arms,
whole year.
short
Oh,
arms too.
I don't know about the short arms as much, but it's also like he was 19 when he was dominating. So
True.
like you have to you have to progress. You can't like if you're 19, it's really hard just to miss a season. Now that's not his fault really, but
Mhm,
it's just he's missed. He has to catch up on another year's football, another and then go in the NFL, start, and all of his talent. And he wasn't playing against great players in the Pac-12, so
mhm.
I'm not surprised to see him struggle. I still think he's got a lot of talent, but all this talk about him being, a Hall of Fame tackle out of school, I'm like, what's going on here? Let's slow down. Like he didn't play for a season,
Mhm,
and you can't just dominate at 19, expect to, you know, be amazing. And we saw that with Amobi Okoye all those years ago. He came out at 19, went to the NFL, and then kind of just, whatever. If your
mhm,
peak is at 19, then you're not going to get anywhere. You have to keep increasing as you go. You have to be better at 20. You have to be better at 21.
mhm.
So we'll see. I mean, it's good for him to. There's no. If he has a bad rookie season, that's fine because they're not going to win games if he's good or not. Um, but if John Brown can get a starting job there, I don't blame him for taking it because if you just take, a third string job somewhere at 30 years old, I don't know how well that, and especially if you're coming in late, like it's really easy to just get phased out of the NFL.
Mhm.
And I don't want to see that happen with John Brown, but it's almost trending that way. Just like if you're not making plays with the Raiders, like I don't know, man. Like I'm not sure. I really hope he sticks around, but like it just just the look of it doesn't look great
Mhm.
because you know he should have been the number one receiver pretty much in Oakland or with Las Vegas, whatever. But that team's a disaster because that team's a disaster, and I feel bad for Derek Carr because he's pretty good. It's just they just like to tear down this team around him because I don't know.
Yeah. All right. Let's speaking of guys who are now free agents, Cam
Mhm,
Newton. You mentioned the shoulder thing and all that
mhm.
stuff. He's obviously a very competitive player, so he's probably going to struggle to find a backup job because of that. There is the vaccination issue as well. that was rumored to be part of his
Mhm.
exit from New England. You've been watching Hard Knocks. I have not been watching Hard Knocks.
I have been. Yeah,
I
that's
will
right.
openly say I have not been watching Hard Knocks, but what I can say is the Dallas Cowboys are an absolute house of cards football team. That defense is not going to be very good, but if Dak Prescott is the starting quarterback, they have the firepower on offense to score a ton of points and
Mhm.
will be in playoff contention. I don't think
Mhm.
they're a playoff team. I don't think they make the playoffs, but they
Wow.
will be I don't think they make the playoffs. That
Damn.
roster is awful outside of like 7 players.
Yeah.
Uh,
Okay. Keep going.
but they're
That's
just
fine.
7 very, very good players. I think that team is constructed all wrong. And we can get into that conversation later.
Yeah, we'll
But
get there.
what happens if Dak Prescott's arm is a problem? Their quarterback is then Cooper Rush. So is Dallas a possible landing spot for Cam Newton? And are you worried at all about Dak Prescott's arm? Because he is the Dallas Cowboys. The way that roster is constructed, if Dak Prescott doesn't play football, they don't win 3 games.
I would probably agree. I mean, if Dak's not that, we saw last year, if they don't have Dak, doesn't matter who's on that team. They're terrible. Like,
Mhm.
you have to have a baseline of quarterback play, and they didn't have that. Or they don't have that anywhere. Like,
And
Andy
and
Dalton's
and
terrible.
not having that baseline,
Danucci,
that's also the starting quarterback
yeah,
in Chicago, which is kind of sad too.
yeah, I agree. Yeah. So I would definitely I could see Cam being there, but like Cam is a guy that doesn't want to not be the starter. I don't
Mhm.
think. Like, obviously, I think he'd sit behind. He would obviously be the backup in Dallas, but like he's a different guy. Like, I just don't think he's supremely confident in his abilities. And he always has been, and he always should be because he's probably one of the most talented quarterbacks ever. You know what I mean? Just um
Mhm. From a physical
so
standpoint, yeah.
yeah, from just abilities. So I mean, if he wants to take the backup there, fine. I don't know how well they would do if Dak got hurt. I don't. Let's please Dak don't get hurt because he's my starter in fantasy. And also he's like I think if he's good this year, I think he could be fantastic. I can think he could be he could really lift that team up. And
Mhm.
I don't think the defense is as bad as you say. I don't think it's great. They have really deep linebackers. Their secondary is not great.
Their whole defense is linebackers.
Yeah. I mean, they still got Demarcus Lawrence, who's good. Their defensive tackles are there. I think they'll be fine. I think the defense will be bad, but not like horrible bad. I just think it'll be. I just think that their offense will be so good that you can get by with it. You know, like all those years in Green Bay where
Mhm.
their defense isn't that great, but they have Aaron Rodgers making tons of plays. I think Dak has that ability and the offense to do that. Their line's still pretty solid, if not pretty good. And I hopefully Zeke can bounce back after just not being there last
Mhm.
year. And I like Tony Pollard. Their wide receivers are deep, and I think it just if Cam sees like, hey, you know what, I'll sign and be the backup in Dallas. Um, if Dak gets hurt, I mean the shoulder thing that was in Hard Knocks was really weird. They're like really
Mhm.
being 100% risk averse with him. Um, I mean, I'm all for it. Go for it. Just don't risk it. But also, I kind of am worried. Like, he probably should be out there. Like, maybe you need to take a hit or two. Like, his first game action is going to be, I mean, almost what, a year apart or year and like 11 months apart because he only played like 4 games.
Mhm.
So that kind of is scary. But I I would like I have other teams down for maybe where Cam can go, like maybe the Steelers or the Cardinals or teams that just don't have backups.
Well,
But
the Cardinals got Colt McCoy. I
shut
think they're
up.
pretty happy. They're really happy with Colt McCoy, and he looked good this preseason.
Okay, Cliff Kingsbury saying that, a guy who should be fired. Okay, like this is
With my own 2 eyes, I'm
stop.
telling you that Colt did well this preseason.
Colt McCoy, no, stop.
Don't
I
you
don't
dare slander my
care.
boy Colt.
I will I will slander Colt
All
McCoy.
right,
He shouldn't be in the NFL.
last quarterback on the list here, Jalen
Yeah.
Hurts. We're gonna pick division winners in a little bit.
Oh yeah.
And my thought on division winners, like before the season started, before the Carson Wentz injury, I was 100% on the Colts train. I thought they would have one of the better records in the AFC. I think they would. I thought they were going to push for the 1 seed. I don't even know if there's so many question marks around their quarterback now. Like, what were they thinking? Gardner Minshew just got traded for a 6th-round pick, and they weren't in on that. 6th-round pick is all it took for Gardner Minshew, a guy who has played pretty well in this league when he's had to play a quarterback. He is now the backup in Philly along with Joe Flacco to Jalen Hurts. You have 3 guys there. Joe Flacco's looked impressive this preseason. Looked pretty well even playing for Adam Gase last year. Joe Flacco looks like he's still
What?
a guy. He looked solid last year for Adam Gase, and he looked really good this preseason.
No.
He looked like he still belongs in this league, not as a starter, but he looks like he still belongs in this league. You have Gardner Minshew, and then you have Jalen Hurts. How long is Jalen Hurts' leash there in Philadelphia?
Okay. First off, Joe Flacco is now the new Matt Schaub, where he is.
He's better than Matt Schaub.
No,
he's better. He's better than end of career Matt Schaub. He is better than end of career Matt Schaub.
And they were they're gonna be backups on new teams every year for the next.
But Matt Schaub, when he came in as a backup, sucked. I think that Joe Flacco.
No, Joe Flacco.
Joe Flacco is better than old Matt Schaub.
No,
it's a weird debate we're having, but I'm sticking my guns.
I say they're equally bad. Anyways, yes, Matt Schaub is the pick 6 king. Joe Flacco's probably not that far behind. But anyways, I honestly, who cares with the Eagles, because they might be one of the most bereft teams in talent just in the league. The thing is with the Eagles is they're not like Detroit, where they pretty much have to start Jared Goff because they're paying him so much money and there's no one else to play. Just who cares? I don't know how long the leash should be. If Jalen Hurts has a bad game, whatever, put Minshew in. If Minshew has a bad game, who cares? Put Hurts in. Like, they should be drafting a quarterback in the first round next year, or trading for someone like maybe Watson. So this is really just kind of playing with house money. Like, if Minshew's good enough to, be capable to maybe win NFL games, you play him. If Hurts, shows the promise he showed last year, you keep playing with him. But ultimately, I don't think either of these guys are going to be franchise guys that are going to be playing for the next 8 years or being a big investment for the Eagles. I think this is just kind of like the Bills back in the day, where it's like, yeah, we got Kelly Holcomb and JP Lossman, whatever, let's see. Or yeah, we got Trent and Fitz, whatever, let's see. Like, I don't think this team's going to get married to either of them, as I said. So if the leash is short for Jalen Hurts, maybe that's unfair, but like, he's like a second round pick who is probably drafted a little too high. Like, I like Jalen Hurts. I just don't know how, how good would be in the NFL. I don't want to doubt him, because I think he did show some signs last year, but I don't know if he just has that next step to being a good, capable starter. We'll have to see. We'll see it this year. I don't think it's good that the Watson talk was around him. The trade for Minshew probably isn't great either. NFL teams like to show their hands when what they're thinking, and that's kind of a thing. Like, his Gardner Minshew's the new Fitz. Joe Flacco's the new Matt Schaub. Gardner Minshew is the new Ryan Fitzpatrick. He's going to be bouncing around team to team, playing pretty well because someone's going to get hurt or not playing well enough, and Minshew's going to come in, run around, throw the ball, throw picks, throw touchdowns, win 6-7 games when your team should probably win 3. And I mean, hopefully he stays around the league for 20 years, just like Fitz, because he's a lot of fun.
All right.
So that's what I'm just seeing with Hurts. I don't think it matters how long his leash is, just because unless he shows he's a franchise quarterback, it just doesn't matter.
Yeah. Let's move on now to picking some division winners. Let's start in the South. Let's start with the AFC South and the AFC South. Who do you got winning the AFC South this year?
AFC South, I have Tennessee.
I have Tennessee as well. What's your rationale there?
Tennessee's got the best quarterback. I just go best quarterback, really. So they have the best quarterback. Their line's pretty good. They got Julio Jones. They have the AJ Brown. Derrick Henry should still be good. Their defense has a lot of young guys that should be, emerging. I think they got a lot of upside. I think they are an outside. I think that could be an issue for the Bills in the playoffs.
Your boy Lettuce, I think, is fine. He says Tennessee wins by default.
Sure, absolutely.
I want to pick the Colts so bad, but I can't do it because of the uncertainty at the quarterback position.
Not uncertainty, it's certainty. Carson Wentz is bad.
He's going to get hurt. But
both. He'll get COVID, he'll get hurt, he'll be bad.
Tennessee is pulling out 2 new offensive coordinators this year. On the defensive side of the ball, a defense coordinator who's never called plays on defense before. And on offense, it is, and I am awful tonight. I'm blanking on names, but he's the former Buffalo Bills quarterbacks coach, went to the Raiders, became the offensive coordinator there.
Oh, Downing?
Yeah, Todd Downey. Thank you.
Yeah.
He didn't have much success there in Oakland, and now he's calling plays again in Tennessee because Mike Vrabel didn't want to make any outside hires to the coaching staff. He hired from within. So between the Titans having a lot of question marks on defense, especially in the secondary, and their defensive coordinator and their offensive coordinator lacking so much experience, like I so badly don't want to pick them. I don't think there'll be a problem, but I do think they're going to win the AFC South by default. NFC South, I got the Bucks. Who you got?
Bucks. Yeah.
I think that they're going to ride that Super Bowl wave back into the regular season and dominate that division this year. I think Tom Brady is going to end up being one of the top 5-10 quarterbacks in the league this year. Sure. Like last year, he wasn't. Like last year, he was probably around 10, right? But then he got to the playoffs and went on a heater. I think he's going to carry all that momentum with, I mean, look at that, those weapons that he's got. In the backfield, he's got Ronald Jones. He's got Keyshawn Vaughn. He's got Leonard Fournette. And he's got Gio Bernard. Then in the wide receiver room, he's got Godwin. He's got Antonio Brown. He's got Scotty Miller. He's got Mike Evans. He's got O.J. Howard. He's got Cameron Brate. He's got Rob Gronkowski. Their offensive line is good. There's a couple all-pros on that offensive line. It's freaking really ridiculous. And then on that defense,
their defense is so good.
It's so good.
Yeah,
and the coaching staff is immaculate.
Yeah, I don't know how Jason Light. I don't know how Jason Light pulled it off because just a few years ago he was a terrible GM that looked like he was getting on the
Bruce Arians effect.
I mean, it just everything worked. Good stuff. I mean, I got to hand it to Jason Light. He really made a good team. Arians is great. I mean, Brady has a real effect. We see he's still good. I mean, obviously he wasn't good in the playoffs last year, but like he was still great in the regular season. Just they're going to be they have a really decent chance of going back to back. I mean, they're probably the best team in the NFC. And that's just insane how he's like a 43-year-old quarterback too. It's just nuts.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's easy. That's an easy pick. I think New Orleans might be able to like nip at them, but they're still probably going to be 2 games back of them.
I think Carolina is the one that nips at them. I love Matt Rule.
No,
I love me some Matt Rule.
Stop with this Sam Darnold stuff.
Anyway, the West. Let's move out west now. In the AFC, I have the Kansas City Chiefs winning the AFC West.
I have the Raiders. Just kidding. No, yeah.
Any thought I could envision Denver winning if Drew Lock was their starter and he hit.
No,
like he developed, but he's not starting, and they have Teddy Bridgewater. So now I know their ceiling is 8 to 10 wins. Like they're not going to get above that with Teddy Bridgewater. I don't care how many weapons he has and how good that defense is. I'm sorry. You hit your head on the ceiling there when you announced that Teddy Bridgewater was your starting quarterback.
I still don't know if Locke has that much of a ceiling either. I know
still got to be higher than.
I know there's some fun like meme parts about Locke.
The rapping,
the
sideline raps.
Yeah, the Locke flock. But it's just I don't. I think he's really bad. He was really bad last year.
Can the Chargers usurp the Chiefs?
That's the team. Possibly. I can't say they won't. I don't think so. But
I like Staley, the head coach that they hired.
Herbert.
They should have hired Dable, but Staley, he looks legit. Like Herbert's sometimes good. You can just like when Sean McVay was hired by the Rams, right? And you saw the way he handled himself in the press conferences, and you saw the way he handled himself on the sidelines, and you just saw the way he could talk about and decipher a football game. You just knew that guy was special, right? And he's proven, even though they've had some down times there with the Rams, he's proven he's special. I think he's going to prove that again this year with Matt Stafford as his quarterback, and they've sort of reloaded there.
Yeah.
Staley is the same thing, and I know he comes from that McVay tree, but he's not like Zach Taylor, who I mentioned. Like I was having this conversation at the Buffalo Fanatics golf tournament.
Who's like Zach Taylor?
Zach Taylor, I was like, someone was like, Zach Taylor. I was like, Zach Taylor sweats too much. Like you can tell he's scared on the sidelines. He's like pissing his pants every time he has to go out there. They should have
fired him when they should have fired him when they cut to him in his little his war room last draft, and was like in a spare bedroom with like a IKEA desk. Like, you're an NFL head coach.
This guy
had a mansion or whatever.
It's freaking. It's bad. And then someone was
Taylor
like,
makes
well,
Mike
Sean
McCarthy.
Miller, the coach of the University of Arizona, sweat. And that's why I had to literally went into a half an hour breakdown with the guys in the golf cart about the difference between aggressively sweating because you know what you're doing and you're good at your job, which is what Sean Miller was at the University of Arizona, and sweating because you know that at any moment people are going to realize you're a fraud. And that's Zach Taylor. Like Zach Taylor, I guarantee you has the respect of absolutely zero people in that locker room. Like he's an absolute joke.
Yeah.
But
He's
anyway, back to
just a
Staley,
weird coach. No, I
because we went on
think
a little tangent
yeah,
here.
no,
Staley's
it's fine.
legit.
Yeah.
You can tell from the conversations he has and his mic'd up sessions and his press conferences that this guy understands how to be a leader of men, how to get control of a locker room, how to get everybody on the same page. And I think it's exactly what the Los Angeles Chargers needed, because, Anthony Lynn, as good of a human being as he was kind of lacking a lot in the game management department.
Yeah, it wasn't there. There was some
Mhm.
really bad lapses of judgment, and you just can't do those. Like they probably would have they could have almost been a playoff team. Just they had that stretch of just games where they made mistake after mistake where that literally cost them. And they ended on a better note, but like they
Mhm.
made the right choice. Like they got to get a new guy. And it sucks because I love Anthony Lynn, but they got to let Herbert air it out. Which how I look at it is I think Justin Herbert really does have top 5 quarterback in the NFL ability now that we
Mhm.
saw. And I think we know Derwin James has top 5
If he
ability.
can stay
Like if
healthy,
you
yep.
have yeah,
And you got a
like
Bosa there, you got Keenan Allen.
and there's another one there, and then their wide receivers always deep. They rebuilt that offensive line. Like I think maybe not this year, maybe next year.
Asante
Like they
Samuel
could
Jr.
yeah, definitely. I think this could be one of those teams
Mhm.
on the rise, but that's the thing. Everyone thinks they're the next team on the rise, and then they just,
Yeah.
crap out.
We're gonna have that
So
conversation about the Browns in a little bit too.
yeah, so I'm 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 high on the Chargers.
Mhm.
I there should be no reason why they're not good next year, but it's also the Chargers. It's
Mhm.
just like the Jets. It's just like, the Raiders. Like it's always just something. Either whether it's like ownership or, management, coaching. There's just a failure on those, and they just don't make it to the next step.
Yeah.
So I think I don't expect the Chargers to win the division. I could see it happening,
Mhm.
especially if there's an injury in Kansas City, or you know, just they get unlucky.
Mhm.
But yeah, I'm still picking Kansas City
All right,
because
we only got
go
about
ahead.
5 minutes left, so let's go through
Yeah, let's burn through.
some speed talk here. But we got the
Oh, yeah. Mhm.
NFC West. You got the
West,
Rams. I got the Rams. Who do you got?
Seattle.
You got Seattle. See, I don't mind some of the moves Seattle made this offseason. Arizona, Cliff Kingsbury is going to be in their way. It's the all field goals on offense, no matter how good their defense is. The Niners are interesting. But I think
That's true.
I think the quarterback room might tear that team down.
Yeah, I don't know.
So,
That's just a weird
but
situation
but
with
I'm going with
quarterback.
the Rams. I think the Rams are the second best team in the NFC behind the Bucks. Stafford is going to
Stafford is
be
interesting.
one of the top 3 MVP vocators this year.
Okay, we'll
I'm
see.
calling it. Calling
We'll
it.
see.
We got next up, we got the North, the AFC North. This is again another tough conversation to have. I'm going with the Cleveland Browns,
I'm
despite
going
the fact
Baltimore.
that you going Baltimore. Here's my issue with Baltimore. J.K. Dobbins is out for the year, and I know we got a Baltimore guy in the private comment section in
Yeah,
Splash. My take this offseason was the same. I have nothing but respect for Lamar Jackson, but I think
absolutely.
that franchise is holding them back. I think that he deserves better than Greg Roman. I think he deserves an offensive
Greg
coordinator.
Roman's holding him back.
How Brian Dable challenged Josh Allen and said, you need to sink or swim as an NFL quarterback is what Lamar Jackson needs. He needs somebody to tell him to put the big boy pants on. He doesn't need Greg Roman there scheming every day and night, trying to make it easier for him.
I don't know how much scheming he
He
does.
needs
He kind of keeps.
he needs to be treated like an NFL quarterback, and he's not being treated like an NFL quarterback in Baltimore. They got better weapons this year. They went out and they got Sammy. They drafted Rashad Bateman, who's going to miss the start of the season. They got Mark Andrews. They got Tylan Wallace, who I love. They have a
Mhm.
lot of really good players on offense. But now that J.K. Dobbins is gone, it's Gus Bus. It's like Tyson Williams. It's Justice Hill. I don't know if there's enough in the backfield if Greg Roman's going to keep babying Lamar Jackson the way he's babying him
I
for
don't think
them
this is the year
to,
you can baby him. I think you just got to let
yeah.
him rip. But we just need to know if Roman will let him
Mhm.
do that, because if he's not doing that, and they should just get rid of, like, we saw Greg Roman getting fired at the beginning of the year, and here, and like nothing. They got better. That was it. Like, just get rid of him. He's not. He's shown he's not head coach. He's not a head coach guy.
I'm gonna go with the Browns.
Okay,
so I'm gonna go with the Browns because I just think that Kevin Stefanski is not stupid. And I think he understands what the bread and butter that Cleveland Browns team is. I think they'll play solid defense with the talent they have on defense. And I think that offense is going to be all Nick Chubb. It's going to be all Kareem Hunt. He's not going to let it become the Baker Mayfield show. Baker Mayfield's going to thrive off of the running game. Stefanski is not going to pull a Freddie Kitchens and forget what the identity of that offense is. And I think it'll be enough for them to win the AFC North. Steelers are a house of freaking cards, man. I don't think that they're going to be very good either with that offensive line.
I think it's just everything. I think everything's kind of inflated. I know I'm not the good person to ask about the Steelers, but just objectively, they're not very good. They have
all right. Speed round here. NFC North. Who you got?
Green Bay.
Same here.
Easy.
NFC East. Who you got?
Dallas.
I got the Washington football team. AFC East. What do you got?
Jets. Just kidding. Dallas.
Killing me tonight. I'm going with the Bills as well. All right. Finally, last but not least, what is your Super Bowl prediction?
I have no idea.
I'll share mine. Bills over Bucks. Josh Allen slays Tom Brady.
I'll just do Kansas City, Seattle. Who knows? I don't know. KC, Seattle. Just I don't like doing Super Bowl picks early. I think it's stupid, but you're
stupid. You're stupid.
I don't.
And that's how we're gonna sign off for our hour here. Thank you guys so much. Your boy Lettuce, Ryan Potts, Nick Spano, everyone else who joined us in the comment section. We really enjoyed it. Bobby B from Buffalo Fanatics. Thank you for joining us in the comment section.
Thanks.
You can find Alex on Twitter at Alex_Fabilli. You can find me on Twitter at Judge Mathis. You can catch the Air Raid Hour every Monday and Thursday at 9 p.m. on the Buffalo Fanatics YouTube channel. And until we see you next time, can't forget.
Go donate.
Go donate.
Go donate.
Yeah, go donate. You're right. Go donate. I was going to say go Bills, but you're right. Go donate. Linktree/uSTADIUM. Go donate. And also go Bills.
Yes.